Keir Starmer arrives at the White House with his chest puffed out. This is his big moment, a chance to define his political career. The mission is clear: to present himself as a strong, reliable leader capable of maintaining the UK-US relationship in the Trump 2.0 era. The stage is set. Photographers, journalists, political analysts, everyone is waiting to see an imposing Starmer, ready for the challenge. But what actually happens is an awkward spectacle, where every gesture, every word, and every decision turn him into the protagonist of his own diplomatic tragedy. From the very first moment, something feels off. The confidence, the presence, the image of a strong statesman that Starmer wanted to project simply isn't there. Instead, what we see is a tense, uncomfortable politician trying to fit into a place where he's clearly not welcome. And the worst part? What happens next is even more humiliating. If Starmer was expecting a warm welcome and a smooth diplomatic conversation, J.D. Vance had other plans. The Republican senator, known for his direct and unfiltered style, saw the perfect opportunity to expose one of Starmer's biggest contradictions: freedom of speech in the UK. In front of the cameras, Vance didn't hold back. He criticized the increasing restrictions on free speech in the UK under Starmer's leadership, citing cases of citizens arrested for social media posts. Yes, in the nation that prides itself on democracy and civil rights, the police are monitoring Facebook and Twitter to catch thought criminals. And here's where Starmer needed to show his strength. A prepared leader would have responded firmly, with facts, with a convincing defense. But what did he do? He stammered, tried to downplay the issue, and overall looked like someone completely out of his depth. There was no counterattack, no confidence in his words. Just a pathetic attempt to sweep the problem under the rug while everyone watched. The scene was a disaster. A British politician publicly humiliated in the White House, in Trump's presence, with cameras capturing every awkward moment. And of course, social media didn't let it slide. They say you can tell a lot about a man by his handshake. A simple gesture, but one packed with meaning. In politics, a handshake isn't just courtesy, it's a display of power, confidence, and dominance. And if there's anyone who knows how to use it, it's Donald Trump. When the moment finally came to shake hands with the former president, Starmer had one job: to convey strength. Instead, he gave us one of the most embarrassing moments of the visit. His posture was off, his expression was tense, and worst of all, his handshake was weak. Meanwhile, Trump, with his signature dominant style, made it clear he was in control. In just a few seconds, Starmer went from being a supposed world leader to an insecure politician out of his element. Political analysts were quick to point it out. The image went viral, memes flooded the internet, and the public perception was sealed. Starmer was not up to the challenge. As if all this weren't enough, we got the most awkward moment of the visit. Starmer, in a last-ditch attempt to salvage the situation, tried to speak on key issues. Maybe he thought he could still regain some dignity, but Trump, being Trump, had no patience for it. Mid-conversation, he simply cut him off. Not aggressively, not with a personal attack, but with the brutal indifference of someone who doesn't consider his interlocutor important enough to let him finish his sentence. The result? A devastating scene for Starmer. It became painfully clear that he had no control in that room. And the worst part? Moments like this can't be spun or hidden behind well-rehearsed political speeches. Social media reactions were brutal. People calling him pathetic, weak, desperate. Starmer's already shaky public image took yet another hit. If there's one thing voters don't forgive, it's hypocrisy, and Starmer gave them plenty of reasons to question him. This is the same man who spent years attacking Trump, calling him a threat to democracy, condemning his policies, and insisting that the UK should stay far away from his influence. And now, here he was, in the White House, trying to cozy up to him, desperately seeking a good photo op and maybe, just maybe, a friendly statement he could sell back home. The problem is that his shift in tone was so obvious, so blatant, that even his own supporters couldn't defend him. How do you go from fiercely criticizing Trump to trying to be his best friend in a matter of months? The answer is simple: political desperation. And the most ironic part? Trump didn't take the bait. He didn't give Starmer the validation he so desperately wanted. If one thing was clear from this visit, it's that Starmer needed Trump more than Trump needed Starmer. And that's a very uncomfortable place to be in politics.
Thank you very much. It's a great honor to have Prime Minister Starmer in the Oval Office. It's a very special place, and he's a special man. And the United Kingdom is a wonderful country that I know very well. I'm there a lot. Just know nothing about it. We'll check it out. We'll let you know.
I do. Look, obviously this involves, there's an English element here, so obviously it's important that justice is done, and human trafficking is obviously, to my mind, a security risk, and so we'll catch up with the story in due course.
You're aware? Are you aware? Please.
Mr. President, could you be persuaded as part of a peace settlement in Ukraine to provide air cover, a backstop security position to the contributions that Europe might make as well?
As you know, we've already indicated that we'll play our full part in making sure that any deal, if there is one, and I hope there is, and I think this is a historic moment to make sure it's a lasting deal, and we're about to have a discussion about how we can make that work.
But I have to say this, as I said yesterday, you're talking about a peacekeeping force. We have to make a deal first. Right now we don't have a deal. We have Russia, we have Ukraine. I think we're very well advanced. I think Russia has been acting very well. We have Representatives Steve Witkoff and Scott and Marco and JD. We're all involved, every one of us, and a lot more. But I think we're very well advanced on a deal, but we have not made a deal yet. So I don't like to talk about peacekeeping until we have a deal. I like to get things done. I don't want to give it the bad luck sign. We don't want to do that. But we've had very good talks with Russia. We've had very good talks, as you know, with Ukraine. Yes, sir. But I don't think there'll be any problem with keeping the deal with the security.
We're going to discuss this.
You want to say something?
No, I was just going to say, I mean, the deal, if we get it, is going to be hugely important. I don't think it would have happened if the space hadn't been created for it by yourself. But if there's a deal in, we've got to make sure it's a deal that lasts, that is not temporary, that lasts, and that's why we need to make sure that it's secure, and we've lent in and said we'll play our part, and we've talked and we will talk about how we work with yourself, Mr. President, to ensure that this deal is something which is not violated, because it's very important that if there is a deal, we keep it.
And that will be, and I think I can say that will be the easy part. That's the part we look forward to, because putting security there, that's the part we all look forward to. That's easy. The difficult part is getting the deal made. So, but I think we've come a long way. Did you have something?
After this series of public humiliations, the obvious question is, what did Starmer actually gain from this? A new trade deal, a joint statement of support, a strengthened international image? None of the above. The only thing he managed to do was further erode his credibility and hand ammunition to his political rivals. Reform UK and Nigel Farage pounced on the opportunity to attack him, highlighting his weakness and lack of direction. The Conservatives, already struggling, now have another argument to claim that Starmer isn't fit to lead. Even on the international stage, his image took a hit. European leaders who once saw him as a stable alternative are starting to doubt his abilities. Strategic partners like Australia and Canada are questioning whether Starmer really has the political weight to lead the UK. Meanwhile, the British media are desperately trying to spin the disaster, but the truth is, there's no way to put a positive spin on a visit that was, from start to finish, a monumental failure. Can Starmer recover from this? The damage is done, his image is battered, his authority is in question, and with elections on the horizon, this visit could be a turning point in his political career. The question now is, what will he do to fix this mess? Does Starmer have what it takes to reinvent himself and regain public trust? Or will this visit mark the beginning of his decline? One thing is certain, in politics, perception matters, and the perception Starmer left in Washington wasn't that of a strong leader, but of a politician overwhelmed by the moment, and in the game of power, that's a death sentence.